Welcome to Smart Branding, a podcast dedicated to branding, naming, and domain names. I'm Tatiana Bonneau, and with my guests, we try to help you create and grow strong, memorable, and meaningful brands online. I believe time is one of our most precious assets, and so I want to thank you in advance if you decide to spend the next 30 minutes with us. I promise to do my best to make those worth it. Let's go. So our guest today is Axel Thibon. Thibon? Am I getting that right now? There we go. Axel is an entrepreneur who had a career in banking, and through his experience realized that a great amount of people think that investing is complicated and intimidating. So that's how he launched Wizest, his platform where he makes with his team investing accessible, transparent, and easier. Hi, and welcome to our podcast, Axel.
Hello, and thank you for hosting me today.
Let's start with a bit of a background. Tell me about, your career in banking and how that led to Wizest.
Yes, no problem. I can even start before banking because I think that's what led me to Wizest more than the banking piece. So even if I'm speaking to you today from Cleveland, Ohio, in the US, you hear my accent. I'm not from the US. I'm from France originally. And my background is in mechanical engineering. So I'm an engineer by training and not a finance person. And that's where I myself struggled with starting investing because I didn't know what to do. I didn't have the training or the background on the finance side. And so that I think that's pursued me for a few years. And that's what led me to start Wizest now to bring a solution that I didn't found at the time when I was looking for some to start investing myself. But yes, after I would say a few years working as an engineer in the automotive sector back in Europe, so in France and Spain, came to the US and switched career. After doing my MBA at MIT in Boston, so I started working in banking. And so I worked in banking for a couple of institutions, being the head of strategy for these institutions and doing a lot of things from marketing, M&A, operations, digital transformation. So a lot of different activities that was very interesting. And even in the last venture before doing Wizest, I even launched from scratch a little digital bank on behalf of a larger institution, but with a small team. I would say a little SWAT team. We built from scratch a little bank, and so that was what was a trigger for me to start Wizest because I observed and noticed that I was able to build a little financial company from nothing, from scratch, and again thinking back to my frustration about investing, I thought that now it was the time to build a solution, and that's what we are doing with Wizest.
Wonderful. And before we go into what exactly do you do, what was the reasoning for the choice of the name?
So the choice of the name is again, the Wizest. You have the wise aspect, and obviously the wisest, the best. So it's it's a very easy name, I would say. In addition to be short and easy to remember, so that's the reasoning, the main reasoning for the name. But why we choose the wise aspect, it's because the way we push people to invest and to help them to invest is to take a wise decision for themselves and for their future, and because we don't think about investing as many people think about with Robinhood and other solutions that are more short-term, almost gaming with the stock market. With Wizest, it's more about you want to build a wealth for your future, for to buy a house for your retirement. So it's more about people taking having planning what they want to do and take wise decision, and so Wizest.
Mm-hmm. And if I'm not mistaken, you initially had the domain name wizestapp.com.
Yes.
And later on switched to the Wizest.com.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, so that is purely from an economical perspective. I would say it was very cheap to acquire the Wizest app domain, and so we did that to be able to start and make sure that we have something with Wizest in it that we can secure. And then when the company was able to get some capital, we said like, let's now try to buy the real deal, like the Wizest.com domain. And so that's what we were able to do.
And that's a very, very common case in with startups. I feel that's something a lot of business owners do, exactly for the reasons that you just mentioned. And have you felt, or what was the difference between one and the other domain? Like, how did that feel in the company, within your team, and with customers?
So I would say, as we are just launching now, so we are like getting the first customers as we speak now. We haven't experimented like the difference for customers of like the branding aspect. Obviously, internally for our team, we always knew that it was a goal to be able to have the name and the domain that would correspond to our exact name. The Wizest app or my Wizest, it was more like a proxy, again, to be able to secure something and to make sure that we were able to continue to use the Wizest name anyway. But like the goal was always to switch to Wizest.com at some point.
Well, I'm glad you're able to secure that, so that you kind of, have the whole package for your launch now. So let's go a little bit into, what do you do? What does the platform do? What does it do for?
Yes. And so let's start first like with the issue that we are solving, which I a little bit mentioned before, which is like how to help a new or novice investor to start. And for that, I am always like referring to my own experience that I had when I was an engineer, because I started working after like college and said like, hey, let's go and start like investing a little bit, thinking about my future. And I went to like some applications, like e-trading applications like Robinhood or E-Trade. And I went there and said, oh, great, I can trade, but like, I don't know what to trade. So if I'm going to screw up, I said, like, I need some help. So I'm going to go back to my bank and ask like to my bank, hey, can I have someone to help me? And my bank told me like, yeah, no problem. But do you already have like $100,000 or $200,000 to qualify to get an advisor? It's like, not yet. Okay, so come back in 5 years. I can. Okay, thank you. And so then I was left with like solutions that are more passive, like robo advising solutions like Acorns, Wealthfront, Betterment, which is fantastic if you are the type of person that say, okay, I'm going to put my money there and forget about it and do not ask any questions. Because a robo advisor it's almost like a black box, and you have to rely on the algorithm to work for you. And so like I would say myself, being a person that wants to understand what is happening and be able to also participate and in my financial life, not be just like watching what is happening. That wasn't a solution that was working and for me. And so that's why I said, hey, let's try to find a solution to all these issues that I've been encountering in my journey trying to invest. And so that's what we are solving with Wizest. And the way Wizest work to arrive to this point is like, when you come as a user into Wizest, what you don't see in our application is you don't see like information that could be scary. You don't see like a lot of graphs, like the stock ABC, the mutual fund XYZ, and say, what is that? So what you see when you come into Wizest, you see people, and everybody is used now to see people in social media, in LinkedIn, in Facebook, in Instagram. And so you see this profile of people, and these people are like real financial advisors, portfolio managers that are like doing that in their real life, and so real experts, and they share their personal profile, like where they live, where they studied, and also some model portfolios or some investment strategies that they have, and as a user, we have like some little matching process to guide you toward like the best match also, and we are offering you like, hey, here is a list of like the expert in the platform that could be a good match for you. And so you as a user can go there, choose the one you like, maybe because they invest in some industry that you like better, or maybe because they live in the same city as you. Like it's all about like creating like a connection. And then you can decide to follow them. And when you follow them, you can just maybe learn from them, because every week these experts are like commenting on what is happening on the stock market, explaining new concept about finance, or explaining what they change in their portfolio, if they change something and why. So there is like this all educational experience. So you can do just having this educational experience, Or if you decide to put money into your Wizest account, then you can also replicate automatically the portfolio of the expert you are following. And so this way, you don't have to go and pick and choose like everything by yourself. It's like you almost have like someone that is working with you, and as you can choose like more than one expert, you can almost build a team of experts that is working for you. And so that's like the way we are leveraging this expertise that exists. And the best example I say is like, when you want to learn like to play tennis, for example, you don't learn like playing by yourself against a wall. You go and find a coach. And the same thing here we have like the experts that are available for you, and you can learn with them and start investing. And so that's the whole logic that we have with Wizest.
What would you say, what we just mentioned, and I think that's a very real and very common problem that people, obviously everybody wants to, plan their life better and have more money. It's like obvious things, but then when it comes to investing, there is still that thing that, it's so too complicated for me, or like you mentioned, I don't have enough money to start. What are some of those misconceptions or mistakes you would say people make when it comes to investing, and what would your advice be to get up with it?
Yes, and I would say like when we look at like the accessibility to invest, and we can see that perfectly with like a tool like I mentioned before, like Robinhood, which is fantastic because everybody can go and trade almost at no cost. So that's accessible for everyone. So the first misconception is like, it's not for me. Yes, it's for everyone. Everyone can do it. But then like there is different ways to do it. Obviously, if you go into some like e-trading platforms, you have to know what to do. And if you don't know what to do, you have to find a solution where you will have some support to be able to do it. And so like that's again like what I'm saying, like when you want to learn, you always learn with someone that is better than you than with someone that is not. So for me, the advice, like the first misconception is investing is accessible for everyone, and you can start with $10, $50. You can start with no minimum. Today, fractional shares exist, so it's accessible to do that. And then like the second advice is like, do not try to do everything by yourself if you don't know. Like there is something that it's always good to rely on someone that is an expert and that knows and can guide you. There is no shame, even if like a lot of people have like ego and say, I can do that by myself. Sometimes it's better to say like, you know what, I can learn from this person. So that's like another like I would say advice that I can provide there is like that to do that. So again, like I think with Wizest we try to combine that and say, hey, we make it accessible, and there is also the coaching and the, I would say, the support to be able to help you, and it's there.
So can anyone pretty much use Wizest? Is there any limitation on like money that you have to invest, or physical location or anything?
Yeah, there is no, I would say today the Wizest as we are launching in the US market. So as we speak, it's available only for people that are like leaving the US. But like the plan is to be able little by little to open the platform to everywhere as we're growing. So that's the third thing. And then in terms of like limitation, Wizest is like you don't have to have a minimum to invest. So again, you can start with like $50, $100, like whatever you feel comfortable with. And the only fee that Wizest has is a fee to be able to access the platform and to be able to access these experts. To do that is like we are taking a very simple approach, which is like the Netflix approach. So it's like for Wizest, you have two levels of Wizest, which is like the basic level where you're able to replicate one portfolio from one expert. And then the higher level of Wizest, where you're able to build a team of like, I want to split my money into different portfolios to be able to diversify maybe more and experiment maybe more. And so the two tiers are like $10 a month or $20 a month. And that's it. There is no additional fees. So there is no hidden fee. That's what we have.
Yeah, that's quite simple. There are so many fintech platforms now, and we've done a few actually. We've done some research into looking into their naming and branding, the names and domain names they choose. And I would say based on those findings, like definitely that plays a role into how people judge how reliable a platform and a business is. What would you say for people, like what would be some red flags, or what should one look into when they are at that point where they're like, okay, I want to start investing online, and I need to choose where and how to do that?
Yeah, I would say like the first red flag is when you start receiving like a lot of like advertising for platforms. Like they're like shiny and bright, and you see them everywhere in all the social media, and there is like, I would say, some peer pressure a little bit to go and look at that. But I would say like for people, for everyone, the best advice is like to do your research. Everyone has like a different financial situation and a different financial goals. Like for someone, it could be like a retirement. From others, it could be like preparing like a vacation around the world, like in the next in 5 years from now. So the goals are very different from people, and so from there, each people needs to think about their own personal plan, and not try to copy what your neighbor is doing or your friend is doing, and there see what is the best type of platform they need, to be able to do so. Like, do I need to go very aggressive and invest a lot of money in this plan, and so to have like a one-on-one financial advisors that will work with me, but that has a cost? Or do I want to do like everything by myself, because what I want more than the return is to learn and to be able to give myself training? Or everyone has different goals, and so this will drive the platform they will have to choose. So again, it's not like not be fooled by like the most shiny object, the last shiny object that's appearing in social media, but like doing a little bit of research and looking at the reviews, and go over a little bit the branding and the shininess of what they see.
Definitely, yeah, I can see some sense in that, and the advertising and the running after shiny objects, especially when they make it like so easy. It's like, just do that and just do that, and there you go. You're gonna be, off you go on the beach with your boat and whatever. Yeah, that's that's definitely something that we see a lot. I do quite like, in your case with Wizest, the fact that you have the network of experts. So that's quite unique, I feel. How should one go about like choosing the right ones? What would your tips be on that?
And that's a good question. And first, like the first thing that we have is like, when you as a user, you are onboarded, you go through a questionnaire to understand like what is your appetite in terms of risk, in terms of like time horizon. So this way we understand a little bit more about yourself. And then we can do like a pre-matching with like the expert that will be maybe the most appropriate for you. And so that's what we show to you first in the platform. We say, hey, these are the experts that would be like the best match, mostly from a risk tolerance perspective. And from there, we leave I would say the control and the choice to the user. Which is very different when you go to your bank and say, can I get an advisor to help me? And say, hey, here is John sitting here, and you cannot choose. It's John and John. Here in Wizest, you can see like, hey, there is Jeffrey, there is Mary, there is Catherine, there is so there is Mark. So and maybe Catherine is like doing like have like this level of like aggressivity in his portfolio that I like, and she's investing also in only this type of industry that I like, and so you can try to relate with the person, and you can read also the different postings she has been doing in the past to say, hey, she's explaining very nicely things, so I think it could be a good way for me to learn through Catherine, and so I'm going to follow Catherine. And so that's like the way it works. Like we try to help you to do this match, but we leave the end user in control, because I think it's important for people to be able to own their decision and through, because we are providing transparency. So there is nothing to hide.
And what about on the expert side? Like we focused initially on the investor, effectively, side, people who want to invest. how does it work on the other side? So people who are investors already, how do they, like, what are the advantages for them to come to Wizest and share their experience and their portfolio choices?
Yes. So here, like, again, like, we are trying to differentiate from other platforms that exist in the market today. So the famous social trading platforms, where at the end of the day, anyone can say like, hey, I'm a smart person, copy what I'm doing, and I'm sharing what I'm doing. At Wizest, we take a different approach. We say like, to be able to be an expert in Wizest, you need to prove that you are an expert, and not just saying that you are smart and that you are finding the next meme stock. So you need to prove, and to do that, we request that all our experts have the credentials in terms of like exams that are certified here in the US at least, to make sure they are real financial advisor or portfolio manager in real life. To make sure we look also at their past experience and track record. So we vet them like one by one. So it's not like in Wizest you won't find like thousands of like experts. We have like a small amount of experts that are offering like one or several portfolios each of them. But to be able to have like a sufficient offering that is quite diverse for everyone needs. But like we make sure that we were able to vet people like one by one, and that these are the real deal. So this way we want to generate also trust and confidence on the end user, that if I go to Wizest, I know that the people that are there, the expert, are real experts.
Sure.
And by the way, they are compensated for what they bring to the platform. So there is also an incentive. So it's not like we are like I would say begging people, hey, come and share it, please, for nothing. No, it's like if they are sharing their expertise, they are bringing a value, obviously, and this value as a cost, and they receive a compensation for that.
Of course. And now I can't avoid that question with artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, obviously, and all that development. So how do you feel that's affecting investing? And do you would you have, or do you have already maybe some sort of artificial intelligence advisor already on the platform? How do you see that panning out?
Yeah, so I think that, and it's maybe where we have like a little bit of a contrarian approach with Wizest, because we see the benefit, obviously, of artificial intelligence, of like automation, and like the algorithm that are working by themselves. This is great. This is fantastic. And by the way, like I think that a computer, in this case, for finance or mathematics, will be more reliable than a human. And everybody tends to agree with that. But there is another component that we tend to forget, which is like the emotion aspect of things. And money is still an emotional topic for everyone. And when we touch an emotional topic, we always want to have like a human interaction, a human validation. And so that's why at Wizest we say, like, yes, let's try to leverage technology and automation, and at some point also artificial intelligence for little functions, but let's not have that to lead the way. At the end of the day, we need to have like this human layer that will do the bridge between the finance industry and the technology and the end user. And so this way to facilitate the work and facilitate also to reduce the barrier of entry for the end user, because if they see that they can rely on someone and contact someone instead of like having to call a 1-800 number where it's going to be someone different that will answer each time, that's a different feeling. And so that's they feel part of like a community. They feel part of, they can follow someone they can rely on, and this human layer is what we feel is very, very important.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think especially it is interesting. Obviously, it is interesting all the chats, all the artificial intelligence. But it's true that in a way you could even say that can make us appreciate even more when you're actually talking and discussing and getting advice from a real person.
And we see that everywhere today, except in finance yet, because we're going to try to push it with Wizest. But like we see that everywhere else, like in the consumer behavior today, like everybody is following influencers for many topics. And so clearly influencers are that. They have like this human layer that allows you to connect with some topic, to learn from this topic, and to get inspired. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I had a guest yesterday that we were talking about a similar thing about how brands are trying to humanize their business basically by that attaching it to a person, and influencers are really good example of that. Mm-hmm. Great. And let's end with you just launching, so that must be a very busy and exciting time. What are you looking forward to this year? So I would say today, like, as we're launching, as you said, we are in an exciting moment because it has been everything cooking in the kitchen, and now we can finally share it with everyone and say, hey, come with us, and we'll try to grow together and make sure that the Wizest is going to be awesome. And so I would say today, it would be great if anyone that is here listening or in the audience that could be interested in what we do, they can come and visit our website wizest.com to get more information, sign up for the waiting list, or going to the app store to download the app. So and follow us also in our social media channel. And ask us questions. We are available. We are still a small team. Hopefully we will grow and to be able to grow with the service we're providing to the users. But we are accessible, and we want to have this interaction with the users, because at the end of the day, we have this starting point with Wizest, with this investing, I would say, approach and strategy. But the idea is to build something that is what the user wants and the user needs. So that's how we approach it. Absolutely. Great. Well, that's been a lot of fun, and I'll be looking forward to see how you develop. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. No, thank you. Thank you for joining us in this episode of Smart Branding Podcast. Feel free to visit smartbranding.com for more information, and reach out if you have any suggestions, questions, ideas, or just want to learn more about how a good domain name strategy can help you build a strong and successful brand. See you next time.